One of the more exciting bouts set to go down on the 28th of October is a lightning-fast and hard-hitting super featherweight world title bout. Reigning WBC super featherweight champion O'Shaki Foster seeks to defend his title from the challenger Eduardo Hernandez. Let's run down all there is to know about this Texas versus Mexico matchup. O'Shaki makes his first world title defense. O'Shaki Foster turned professional as a boxer in 2012, but he'd been a star talent with his hands right from the moment he started his amateur career in 2007. He started off competing in the Golden Gloves competition, and he smashed his way into the finals before losing on a points difference. Perhaps losing some interest in the sport after that, he would continually intermittently until 2011, before finishing on a 12-7 record. It certainly doesn't look like much of a record, even if we're considering the fact that it was amateur, so when he made it clear that he wanted to go pro, many were probably skeptical at the time. The skepticism didn't matter because his professional record is a highly respectable 20-2 with 11 knockout victories. Foster proved multiple times the sheer importance of having ultra-strong boxing fundamentals, which is something that may be easy to often overlook. This translated into phenomenal footwork and fight IQ, allowing him to outbox his opponents beautifully. Most interestingly, this also translated to a relatively tranquil and calm fighting style, which is probably what gave him the moniker Ice Water. With this, he maintained an 8-fight undefeated streak until 2015, which was the year in which he lost to Samuel Taya in a unanimous decision. This, along with the split decision loss to Rolando Chinea, were the only roadblocks on the way to crafting an impressive record. He captured local WBC and WBA super featherweight titles along the way, with the WBC silver super featherweight belt necessitating multiple defenses. Relentlessly chewing through all his opposition, he would get his first chance at a world title in 2023 against Ray Vargas. This opportunity came about when the famous Shakur Stevenson lost his title by failing to make weight for a fight in September 2022. It was the hardest fight of his career until that point, with fighters trading devastating blows and playing a close mind game for about half of the match. However, Foster's immaculate fundamentals kicked in yet again, and he was able to outpace Vargas to win a unanimous decision victory in the end. It's now time for a mandatory title defense. Negotiations with British talent Joe Cordina fell out previously, leading him to a fight with the highly experienced and formidable Eduardo Hernandez from Mexico. "It's that time again," said Foster. "King Shock is back in action. I'm excited for the opportunity to be back in the ring and defend my title. We're once again going into uncharted territory, so I'm eager to prove once again that I'm the best in the world and that I'm here to stay. Come October 28th, I will dominate." Hernandez looks to seize the chance. If you don't know Eduardo Hernandez, then trust us, you've been sleeping on a real talent. Hernandez made his professional boxing debut at the age of 16 on February 8, 2014. Data on his amateur career, if he has any, is rather difficult to find, but you can be sure that he's had his fair share of fights and scraps before turning professional. His professional career stands at an impressive 34 wins and 1 loss, with 31 of those wins being brutal knockouts. It's absolutely criminal that this man isn't talked about more. He is true championship material. His undefeated streak from 2014 to 2019 took him through 28 wins. What broke his streak was twofold unfortunate. First, it was an unfortunate knockout at the hands of the Venezuelan Roger Gutierrez in the first round, who prepared for the fight rather seriously. Gutierrez hit him with 2 hard right overhand punches back-to-back, which dropped Hernandez. While at first it seemed as if Hernandez was set to fully get back up and continue fighting, he staggered and dropped to the floor again. California state rules mandate the match be ended in such circumstances, as they potentially indicate a serious debilitating injury. Could Hernandez have gotten up and continued the fight if the rules were different? Possibly, but it's unlikely. And you may agree that it was the right call to prevent him from suffering serious repeated concussion damage. Nevertheless, he came back in the same year to defeat Sergio Puente and start another win streak to capture the WBC Silver Super Featherweight title. We'd argue that he should have been given a chance to take the championship belt before having to face Roger Gutierrez, but the fight game relies a lot on the fan followings and big headlines to ensure such opportunities. Eduardo Hernandez's exposure to an international audience has been staggeringly limited, even though he's fought multiple times in the U.S. and has already picked up the moniker Rocky, which is obviously a clear reference to Sylvester Stallone's Rocky Balboa. It's based on Hernandez's penchant for fighting in an imposing forward attack style, which suits him well due to his ability to absorb body shots like they were nothing. Ironically, the name probably also fits since he takes a lot of punches to the head. much like the fictional Rocky Balboa. And you can see how that led to his unfortunate loss to Roger Gutierrez in 2019. Still, Rocky's talents and skills are undeniable. Racking up a 34-1 record is not child's play, and not many professional boxers apart from the most famous ones can lay claim to such a feat. Now, it's time for him to win a world championship title for the very first time. I've dreamed about this moment my whole life, Hernandez said. O'Shaki is the best 130-pound champion. I'll beat him, and I'll show the world that I'm the best in the division. Fighters compared. With both fighters being off track when it comes to media coverage, we wish we had more to share with you about them. But we can assure you that we've done enough homework to be relatively confident regarding who we think stands a great chance at winning. Fight promoter Eddie Hearn has the following to say to those who will be watching. This is going to be an explosive clash in Cancun. O'Shaki will be full of confidence heading into his first defense after beating a great fighter like Vargas to win the title. But Rocky is a ferocious puncher that's been destroying everyone put in front of him and won't take a step backwards in trying to achieve his dream. This is a fight not to miss, and I expect yet another great matchroom fight night in Mexico on October 28th. Speaking of O'Shaki Foster, he fought exclusively from an orthodox stance. Despite that, Vargas talked often before their bout about Foster's ability to fight orthodox as well as southpaw. The elusive Foster's defense also prevented Vargas from landing proper punches with any regularity, despite his range advantage. I started switching when I was like 12 years old, Foster said. I started off orthodox, but I was always ambidextrous, being able to use both hands, so my coach wanted me to try out at southpaw. He was a big Marvin Hagler fan. Reiterating our initial assessment, Foster's mastery of the very basics of boxing to an extremely high level is why he's able to fight effectively in both stances, potentially being able to switch them on the fly during a match to throw his opponent into a loop of confusion that could be exploited for great defense breaks. I don't think it was close, but like I said, my coaches kept staying on me to, not let off the gas and, not make it close. Foster said about his fight with Vargas. So I wanted to close the show. Of course, he's referring to the way he kept the pressure on Vargas with this strategy, and as that ultimately preserved his stamina better to clutch the win in the end. Another aspect of this calm, collected, and tactical style of fighting is the way Foster threw jabs almost exclusively in the opening round, before using a right-hand hook with just under 50 seconds on the clock, and quickly got out of Vargas' punching range. This was just in time when Vargas appeared to be spent. Foster and his coach both believe that this can be the perfect way to stop the much more experienced and faster Eduardo Hernandez. Ray is a great fighter, Benson said. He's a two-time world champion. He's in and out, not your traditional Mexican fighter. He's got more of a boxer style, but Shock's going to be the smarter fighter. No matter what Ray brings, he's going to be able to stop it. Now, as for Hernandez, he has an 88.6 KO rate. Of his total 31 KO wins, 29 were in the early rounds and 2 mid-match. He has 10 first-round KO wins, owing to his great power punching abilities, which would serve as the first roadblock for Foster to overcome. He's a dangerous threat. He will be relishing the opportunity to challenge for a world title on home turf, and he's well in form from 6 back-to-back victories. He represents the best of traditional Mexican style, as he loves to attack the body and make it weak with his arsenal of hard punches. Ultimately, that can be ended with similarly hard strikes to the head to score a knockout win, and that's how he built up an 88% knockout percentage for a share of total number of match victories. Combined with all of this, and ultimately the younger age of Hernandez, we believe he may be finally able to take the championship belt on home turf. Whether we like to admit it or not, age has a clear effect on your physical abilities and endurance. Add that to the fact that this championship victory may be Eduardo Hernandez's ticket to international stardom and continued domination of the weight class. We have the toughest fight of his life set up for O'Shaki Foster. But as in the nature of the sport, upsets do happen, and O'Shaki Foster still stands a fighting chance of defending his belt if he manages to outpace Hernandez and exploit his lackluster defense. Are you excited to see Foster and Hernandez fight tooth and nail? Leave us a like and subscribe if you agree with our assessment of this showdown. We'll see you again when the dust settles on the canvas.